Hopefully this is, where am I at? Here we go. There we go. So the reason we're kind of doing this demo today is this is the first one after the completion of the 3R project, which began in 2017. I hope most of you are familiar with the 3R project. If you're not, there's a lot to catch up with. The 3R project sought to, as you can see here, improve the site architecture, making it more modular and flexible. We did a lot of rebuilding behind the scenes so that we can do a lot of different things going forward with RDA content to maybe align it and customize it more to individual needs. We wanted to bring the content in alignment with the library reference model, which is the conceptual model that has kind of superseded FRBR. It came out of IFLA as well, the library reference model. And then we also, one of the things we wanted to do is better integrate the toolkit content that we had. That includes policy statements and instructions. I'll show you how we address that issue. And just generally improve user tools and overall user experience. And finally, to make the toolkit compliant with web accessibility standards, which it was not before. The new toolkit does meet the AA standard from WCAG for web accessibility, and we're very proud about that, about reaching that goal. What was the beta site has now become the official site. The beta site debuted in 2018. We made 8 releases since then to the beta site in introducing new functions and features, cleaning up the text and the display, taking in feedback from our users and making adjustments as we went. And so this beta site became official last month. So I'm going to come back to orientation actually. So at this point, I'm going to share the live site. I'm going to go straight to the good old toolkit. So here we go. And we're going to jump into, this is rdatoolkit.org. This is a kind of a marketing and information space that is kind of sits in front of the toolkit. I recommend you go here to just get news and information. You can see some of it flashing there in front of you. So we're going to go ahead and access Rda Toolkit. So of course, the first question with any website is how do you log in? We've made some changes to the login with this new toolkit. One of the things we did, we still have the original, we still support IP authentication. Many of you will have that. And when you log in with IP authentication, you'll get something that looks like this. I'm going to do my institutional login here. And you'll see the website changed. This what was a kind of a light blue box became a dark blue box, and it says profile login now. And my name of my institution is now up in this upper left corner. And you can see there's a profile drop-down menu asking me to log in, create a profile, or log out. Oops, I logged out. How about that? So we're back to this welcome screen. So I can log into my institution. And when I'm logged into my institution, that means I can navigate throughout the toolkit and see all the content on the toolkit that's shared globally and is available. But I cannot use all the features and functionalities of the toolkit, all the preferences, personal preferences and customizations that come with the toolkit, like bookmarking, etc. I'll show you all these in a little bit. So I do encourage folks to create a profile. It's very easy to do. It just really involves going in and entering entering your email and creating a login. That's all there is to it. So one of the changes we made, I'm going to log out again here just to show you, is you can log in here from the profile. Here, I'll log in to the profile so you can see what it looks like. Oh, it's not going here. Let me log out. You can enter your profile in there, or you can log in directly from this landing screen with your profile. So this is my profile login that's defaulted to here, and I'm going to log in. And you can see the profile login not only includes my institution name, my name now appears over here. There's no login box here. And you can actually see files that I recently viewed. So the most recent one I viewed was actually a Norwegian language file. And you can scroll down, you can see what documents have recently been updated, including ones that I subscribe to. I'm going to show you what all these documents mean. And you can see my notebooks and my profile links, etc. On the left side, we pull over the blog information from the RdaToolkit.org that I was showing you. So all those blog posts actually show up here, and you can kind of get these news and reminders and skip going to that RdaToolkit.org. We also have the original toolkit is here. I want to start off with this. Your subscription to the toolkit includes access to both the RDA toolkit and the original toolkit. The original toolkit can be accessed here through this little button here. It's also in the resources tab. I'll mention that real quick. If you click through, you'll see you do need to log in again to the original toolkit to access it and move around. You should also be aware that the new toolkit does not count against your concurrency for your subscription. So you can have both the new toolkit and the original toolkit open at the same time, and you won't be taking up 2 slots on your concurrency. You can return to the official toolkit using that button right there. One other thing I want to note real quick, if you want, this is the URL for the original toolkit, and you can also bookmark that. It's original.rdatoolkit.org. Okay, so let's go back to the new toolkit, because that's going to be the focus of our discussion today. So let's look at the tab bar real quick to start. This is kind of the new structure of the toolkit. It's not set up as quite like a workflow or a cataloging guide anymore. It's set up a bit more like a data dictionary. So, oh, I gotta turn off my mail. Sorry, folks. Go away. Okay. The entity, most of the instructions are organized around the entities. And here you can see the entities. They're in what we call LRM, Library Reference Model order. They're not in alphabetical order, so they go from the kind of high-level RDA entity to work, expression, manifestation, item, agent, person, collective agent, etc. And then you have the guidance. These are the guidance files give you more information about how to apply RDA instructions, how to understand certain RDA concepts, etc. These are listed, with the exception of the introduction, are listed in alphabetical order by their topic. We may need to do some more kind of arranging of this information in a constructive way. Here are policy statements. Currently we have BL, that is British Library Policy Statements, and LC PCCPS, Library of Congress Program for Cooperative Cataloging Policy Statements. I'm going to walk you through the policy statements in a little bit. And then we have the resources tab. The resources tab includes the glossary, the vocabulary and coding schemes. I'm going to go ahead and show you these real quick. So here's the glossary. It's pretty straightforward. Starts with 09, then you can jump down here to A. Glossary typically includes a link to if it's an element, there's a link here that'll take you to that element. Just demonstrate that real quick. Takes you to that element page. It includes the definition, and it will include a scope note if there is one. It also includes the inverse if it's applicable. Relationship elements have inverses in the new RDA. And you can see a little orange line underneath that. And if you mouse over it, the definition will pop up there. You can also click on it to jump to that definition. But in this case, that one's just below here. You'll notice as I scroll down, there's a little caret down here at the bottom. That always takes you back up to the top of the page. Other resources we have are vocabulary encoding schemes. The vocabulary encoding schemes are the group of closed vocabulary terms that we use that are official to RDA. You can see them here. It gives you the vocabulary terms, definition, scope note, etc. Also gives you the IRI and the notation for it. This relates to our registry and linked data support practices. Next up are community resources. So community resources, a lot of the material that had been in the appendices of the old toolkit has moved to different places in the toolkit now, and a lot of them are in this community vocabularies area. This is an area that's very much still under development, but it does have some term languages that have a lot of information in them, some more than others. English is particularly robust with rules of capitalization, initial articles, books of the Bible, terms in English, etc. So these are the kind of things that are being shifted over to community resources. And we're hoping, this is, as I said, an area in development, but we're hoping to connect with different language communities and have them contribute this kind of information for their language community that we can share with everyone and that can be available in multiple languages. And so this community language area is, as I said, still in development, but it's an important new area that we're working on. Revision history, real quick, is where we track changes to Rda Toolkit. It's composed of two different pieces. One at the bottom here is the instruction archive. You can see here, this is where we keep all the PDFs of all the past versions of RDA. This is the original toolkit, last release of the original toolkit PDFs. And then each release that we've made since is captured here. And this is a full run of all the PDFs. I'll show you what it breaks it down into the entity, guidance chapters, and the reference resources. And you can open these up and you just kind of drill down to get to the PDFs. And then the other piece of the revision history are release notes, and we keep release notes for each release. So here are the last release. This is just an explanation of some of the changes that were made to the toolkit and the RDA content with that release. It includes a list of the pages that were altered and a brief description of how they were changed. Label changed, the word body was removed from this label. These are new elements. So this was a pretty straightforward kind of changes that we made. They're fairly light for the December. What we do though is we offer the links to these two PDFs. And up here are links to some compare or difference tools. Most of these are online and free, I believe. And you can put the two PDFs into these diff tools to quickly get a report of what exactly changed in these files. So that's how we're kind of tracking revisions. Here's a link to the original toolkit. And of course, we have a link to AACR2, an online presentation of AACR2. It does require a separate login when you go there because it really is a separate website again. But your subscription to RDA Toolkit does give you access to AACR2. All right. I got us through that. So let's look at an entity page. So I'm going to kind of start diving into more of this bigger stuff. So this is an entity page. You can see here's where you get your PDF for that. It's right at the top. You'll find it on every page. Then you have your definition and scope. And here you're going to have a pre-recording. This gives you information you might need to understand before you move into actually recording data about the work. You'll notice we have some links here. And next to the links, you have a link. This is a normal link that if you click, it'll take you to that page. But we also follow our links with this little icon, which is a preview. So you can click that and you can see a preview of that link to kind of decide whether you really want to navigate away or not. And these preview boxes do scroll up and down. They try to align with, where the link is coming from. And you can click that X to close it out. So this is an option box. You'll see a lot of these gray option box. This is the cataloger's choice, whether they want to apply that option or not. These are condition option boxes. So the condition is if you have this situation or condition, you can apply this option. So some options have an associated condition, some don't, like the first example we had does not have an associated condition. Some conditions, I think this one has two options associated with it. So you can choose to apply this or this in this particular condition. I'll explain what that is in a little bit. Okay, this is a long one. I wanted to get down here. Here's the recording section. You're going to see this on every entity and element page. The four areas that are recording an unstructured description, recording a structured description, recording an identifier, and recording an IRI. You'll find these throughout the toolkit in the entity element pages. They're consistent throughout. On the entity pages at the bottom, you'll have all the related elements. You can see there's a long list here. So I can look at all of them and I can just do a type ahead to see look for an element that I might be interested in, say if I'm interested in creator. It's key heavy, so I can do access point, and you'll see it'll get me authorized access point and variant access point results as well. So that's the type ahead function. I can also filter this list by selecting attribute elements. Attribute elements are elements that do not have a range. That is, they just have an associated domain. And in this case, the domain is work. However, there are also relationship elements. Those are elements, they're very much like what we used to call relationship designators in the old toolkit, in the original toolkit. The relationships that have a domain and a range. So I can choose to look at the relationship elements and then refine it by range. So my domain is work, but I can also then refine that to say person. And then I can still do my type ahead and say creator, and I can get to creator person of work. So that's another one of the new features we've introduced with the toolkit. So let's go to actually creator agent of work. And let's go to that page, element page, and check it out. So this is a typical element page. Here you have definition scope again, and then you have what we call the element reference here. And this gives you, this can be closed too. If you can set your preference to close it in your profile if you like. But this gives you the IRI, it gives you the domain and range, gives you alternate labels. It has mappings. This is a mapping to LRM. This is to Dublin Core. And we have Mark 21 bibliographic mappings here as well. So that's part of the element reference. We hope to kind of add more useful things there as we learn about them. We also, you can see we have examples still. These are examples of, we have a range of different examples now. And, oh God, what is this? Keep doing that. Go away. I can't. You'll have to pardon me for a second here. We have a range of examples here that reflect the, show the structured description. Here, this one shows the same amount of kind of information as an identifier, as an IRI. Up at the top was an unstructured description. We also added some new example types. This one is view as relationship. It shows this as kind of a piece of linked data. I notice now, I wish it would stop doing that, that usually there's an arrow showing here. There's a little problem with that I'll have to look into. But it shows the same example expressed as a piece of linked data, kind of visualization of linked data. And then we also have the view in context example, which highlights the element that you're working on. Excuse me, here you can see these are highlighted, but gives us some context with other related data. So you can kind of see how all of these pieces of all these RDA elements work together. And then the typical page ends with related elements. They'll give you broader elements and narrower elements, etc., with links through them. And finally, of course, you have some navigation here at the bottom that takes you to the next element alphabetically. For right now, that's what we have. I want to show you a couple of the tools that we use in these element pages. One you've already seen is this pop-up tool. So I can highlight anything here and I'll get this pop-up that allows me to either add a bookmark, a note, get a link, or get a citation number. So up here is an example of a bookmark. This is a bookmark right here. And when and this is a note. This is how they look. So if I wanted to add a bookmark here, I click that. I give it a title. I can put it in a folder. I'll show you the bookmarks area in a little bit, but you can kind of organize your bookmarks into certain groups if you like. And you can also request to be updated, receive a notification if this page is changed, because it might affect your bookmark. So if this page is changed, which will be reported in the release notes, you'll also see on the home page there, you'll get a notification that a page with one of your bookmarks has been changed. Same is true with notes. So if I did this same piece, highlighted the same area for a note, which is this icon here, I would give it a title. I could set the access to it. I can share notes within my institutional subscription, so other people can see that note, etc. I can organize it into a folder, and I can type some text in here that goes along with this note. So here you can see, here's my example of a note. This is some text. You can see I can write in something here. And this one I keep private, but I could say, you know, always consult this before proceeding or something like that. And you can insert links into your notes, I believe. So the other two items on this pop-up menu are accessible without being linked into a profile. These two, bookmarks and notes, you have to be in a profile to be able to use them. But if you're not logged into a profile, you can still get a link. That is, if you want a link here to that, you can send to someone and say, hey, check out this instruction. That's right there. You just hit copy and it will go to your clipboard. Or you can do, this is a citation number. So if you're working in print or you're doing a document that you're going to pass out on paper to folks and you want them to go to this location, you can request this citation number. And here's the number right here. You can click copy and you can paste it into your Word document or whatever you're working in. So that's that little toolbar that we have on this page. I'm checking my notes. Where do I want to go next? Next, I want to talk about the display of policy statements, which I'm going to show you right now. Right here, you see select policy statement set. And you can see here there are 0 British Library policy statements for this page, but there are 3 Library of Congress PCC policy statements for this page. So I'm going to click and open those. So you can see those now. So this one aligns with the pre-recording. You can see this kind of faint blue line that shows it lines up there. And you can see it scrolls. So one of the other features here is this LCPCC, that label. If I click that, it'll take me to the policy statement on the policy statements browse page. So I'm here now in LCC policy statements. I'm going to go back and reopen those policy statements. So this one, it will show you the policy statement. You can see it's rather long, so we have it scroll. It scrolls. But you can see it's still kind of blocked. There's something down there I can't see. So it's being blocked by this next policy statement. So I'm going to click send to the back, and that way I can see the whole thing. We added this little dot, dot, dot blue line to show where the policy statement ends. So you can know for sure that you're seeing the whole thing. So this thin line lines up with what it's referring to. But the blue line doesn't go across because it's just showing that the box ends. So I'm going to send this to the back so I can see the other one. Now, you might think this is counterintuitive, that this should say bring to the front, right? So I can just see it. And I'm looking in this space. Why do I have to go to the next one to kind of see everything? The problem is if I did bring to the front here, then I would, once I, send this to the back, I'd lose access to the bring to the front button on the one beneath. So it's an odd bit of logic, I know, but it's what is going to work best for right now. So it's a little awkward, but I think we can all make do with it. Again, you can see some of these policy statements, the 3 policy statements that line up here. I want to show you, these can get kind of crowded too. So if I did a preview of, a preview, you can see this is all getting kind of cluttered, and I can close that. So sometimes you might find it necessary. I'm going to close that. Why is that? There it goes. Let's see how this preview is now. Yeah, it goes down a little bit on the preview. That's a little odd to me. So, but it's a little awkward and can get a little cluttered on this right rail, but we did want to be able to bring together different resources that allow folks to look at different pieces of content on the same screen. That was one of the key feedbacks to this that we got from our user group when we were building the new site. So this is our solution for right now. We'd love to hear more feedback if you have on these kind of user experience things. And at this point, I'll also really quick note, there's a submit feedback button right up here at the very top. You can click on that and send us any thoughts you have on the toolkit design and input. I would just add, because I get, sometimes people use this to send me, oh, I can't log in, or, oh, this thing's not working for me. If something's not working for you, I would encourage you to email Rda Toolkit at ala.org, because I'm going to see that a lot sooner. This is really for collecting feedback on something that's wrong in the site, either in the, if it's a typo, or if it's a bad link, or if it's, you think the instructions are wrong, we didn't mean what we seem to be saying, something like that, or you think the design's just bad and you think it should be corrected this way or that, or you think there's something we could do to improve it, use that submit feedback button. So I want to go to one other new page just to show you another feature of pages that you don't always see. So here, this, I guess I have it set now to automatically show LCPS. So they're already displaying. You can choose to have your policy statements already permanently displaying on the page, or you can have them hidden, just turn them on when you want to see them. I did want to show you where the vocabularies that I showed you earlier in the vocabulary and coding scheme resources, I wanted to show you that they also appear in the page of, in the element pages, the relevant element pages, and they always fall under the recording structure description. And you can see them here. And in this display, you can click on those to get the pop-up of the definition. So I just wanted to show you that one. And again, you can see there's lots of policy statements here, especially these are very common ones to see is what options they want you to apply or not apply. That's going to be a very common policy statement experience. I don't know why that's not going away. It should be going away. Okay, where am I off to next? I want to show you some of the, oh, I know what I wanted to show you with policy statements. One other, this is a neat little trick. So one of the changes we made with the toolkit was that we introduced responsive design. So the toolkit should display a lot better on tablets and even smartphones if you like to look at your cataloging material on a smartphone. And with these policy statements off to the side, you might think that looks kind of, it's going to look awful on a small screen, but actually if you resize it, you'll find, I'm going to try and hopefully this works if I can get this going here. If I scrunch it up, you'll see the policy statements just fall beneath what they're referring to when you do that. So that's a nice little trick that we added. At least I think it is. So I'm going to go back to my full display now. So let's look at search real quick. I know I'm getting short on time. So search works pretty much the way it used to work in terms of, you know, wildcards and using quotation marks and phrasing and all that kind of stuff. We did reduce it though to a single search box. So now there's just this one search box and I can put in, say, creator of agent, and I can choose to search all. I can search RDA only. I can search policy statements. I can search glossary, save searches, manage, but I can also search exact title. I just want to show you that. And that exact title search, excuse me, I clicked on the wrong spot. What that will do is it'll take me directly to that element page. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, if you know the page that you want to go to, you can use that exact title search and go to it and avoid the search results page. If you don't want to go to that exact page, I can search just RDA only, and I get hits here. You can see here on my search results. I can add more search results here by adding more words into the search. And I can sort the results by relevance or by alphabetical order. You can see the results here. This is a vocabulary and coding scheme link. This is the actual element content type. This is the glossary term. So we identify what these are and give you a little preview of them. If I did the same search with all, you'll see it's displaying the first 10 of 133 RDA results, but you will get policy statement, community resources, contributed document results as well. There don't happen to be any for this particular search. One of the other features you can use is you can search by that mark number that I mentioned earlier. So say if I typed in 546 mark field, I will get results that link based upon that mark mapping. I can even do 546, say subfield A, and get results with that as well. Language of expression. So you can try that out and see how it does. There are a few instances of old RDA instruction numbers from the old RDA website that you can type in and you'll get hits to. That's a very limited mapping, but you can try it. You never know when you're going to get lucky. So for example, I did 7.4.2 and I got longitude and latitude results. So next I want to go through this tab up here at the top. So this is your site language. The default language for anyone using the toolkit is their language browser default language. If your language browser default language is one of our languages. Currently, we only have 3 languages available on the revised toolkit, and that's English, Finnish, and Norwegian. So you can set these however you like. The site language means the language of the interface. So I can change the interface here to Finnish. Now, the pages I go look at are still going to be in English because I didn't change English. So the navigation is Finnish, but the language inside, etc., is English. Now I can go back here and I can change the RDA language to Finnish, which is Suomi. And there you have it. So I can change those back just with the click. You can also set these in your profile, what your preferences are. I'll also point out here that you can increase the font size of the toolkit if that helps you with reading things. Here's a help section. This is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there. Views, this is where you can set your preferences and manage your views. Right now, RDA template, we just have standard, but our goal is in the future to start offering different versions of RDA for different communities. So like we could create a filtered set of instructions that are meant entirely for music cataloging, etc., things like that, or cataloging government documents, etc., like that. You can choose your policy statements that you want to be able to see, set one as a primary, choose to have them open or closed. You can show all of the examples, or you can show just the type of examples you find most useful. You can choose to open the element reference or close it. And you can set some of these views are institutional based and some are private. So this one, say, is private. This one's institutional. So as the subscription manager or the supervisor sets the institutional view settings here, and those can be applied to anyone who's logged into the toolkit from that institution. The books and notes area here, I'll just show this real quick. This is where they're all kind of gathered together. I mentioned folders. Here's a folder. I can open that up. Oh, there's nothing in it, unfortunately. I can click my bookmark and it'll take me right to my bookmark. I need to update my profile with adding those in, but I can add in a bunch of bookmarks or notes to that folder and share that folder with different people. Here's to edit. You can open that up for editing, and that's your delete button right there. And notes work the same way. I can open up that note for editing, and I can change any of the settings on it, and I can change the text if I like, and then just update it. Documents area, we used to be workflows on the original toolkit. This is where you can go and create your own documents and choose to share them. So here are the documents that I've created. I can choose to go and edit them. I'm going to edit them. I'm going to go edit them. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. But one of the changes we made to this contributed documents area is we allow for multiple users now. So different people on your staff can share a document and edit and work on it. That wasn't possible before. This is a basic online XML editor. we have put a lot of macros in here. You can also choose to work on it through source, um, um, through the source button if you're comfortable working in HTML, etc. But we have all your basic macros you can use here. You can copy and paste Word in here, but the formatting will probably get a little goofed up, just so you know. You can put in links, etc., like that. And of course, you can choose the license about how you want people to use your material if they try to use it as a basis for their document. And you can choose to keep it private, or we have different settings here. We have private, which means you just keep it to yourself. Local means just within your institution. Global, which means you can share it with all of Rda Toolkit subscribers. And we also added a new tier, public, which means it's freely available to anyone. Anyone can come to the toolkit, click into that documents area and see documents that are publicly shared. All right, so those are the three settings, or four settings we have for sharing. We also added this subscribe area. So this was, people would share their documents globally, and it became a really long list that scrolled on and on forever with the in the original toolkit. So what we did here is all the documents are here, and you can browse through them or even search them. As you can see here, there's a search. But then you can choose to subscribe to them. So when you subscribe to them, it means it's going to put it in your documents collection, which is down here. So these documents will be a little bit more accessible to you, quickly accessible, if you like these documents. And you can choose to subscribe to the document or to the institution. So if, Library of Congress or British Library, you just want to get any documents they post up here, you can subscribe to that institution, and all those documents will populate your document collection. Or you can just choose to subscribe to one. So here I just subscribe to the basic description of a monograph from Valdosta State. And now, hopefully, you'll see that in my collection. Let me refresh, maybe. There it goes. And there it is, basic description. And then you can choose to get rid of it later if you want, if you're not getting what you want out of that document, or you've got too many. So those are a lot of the basic features and functions of the toolkit. I'm going to switch back to my slide presentation here real quick. And here we are. So a lot has changed with the toolkit and with RDA itself, and we know that it's going to be a big transition for folks to get up to speed on this new toolkit, and we want to help in the ways that we can. So we have several what we call orientation efforts. Like I said, this instruction will be, this demonstration will be posted and freely accessible to everyone. It will be posted on our YouTube channel, which I strongly encourage you to subscribe to. You can see the URL right here. It's also, excuse me, let me go back. It's also linked to from our rdatoolkit.org homepage. I'll also break up this presentation into smaller videos where I go through how to log in, how to make a bookmark or a note. I'll go through those kind of in a slower, more thorough process, but also keeping it to like a short 5-minute video or so. So I hope to post those in the next week or two. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and take advantage of that. There's also a lot of good presentations that are stored there by RDA steering committee members and others with expertise. We've also been offering a range of different webinars. These are paid. There's a RDA Lab series that will start in February that are kind of like these online kind of workshop/webinars about that will introduce you to the new RDA concepts and practices in a very kind of real world type way, workshop-y type way. So I hope you'll look into that. We do have some new print resources that are coming out that we hope will help people. There's the RDA Glossary is available in print now. And there's a new book by Chris Oliver coming out called Introducing RDA, a guide to the basics after 3R. This is kind of follow up on her original Introducing RDA guide. And I think it's going to be a really useful introduction to what exactly has changed with RDA and what that means for, folks cataloging every day, day to day, etc. So I really encourage you to check out that book. It should be available in the next few weeks. And then we're also working on an RDA workbook, which is kind of based on that lab series. We'll have a series of kind of exercises that you can do to kind of get familiar, that will help familiarize you with RDA, new RDA concepts and practices. And we hope to have a new edition of RDA Essentials out too. Look for those in the next year or two. Okay. I'm going to leave it there for right now. And thank you for all listening to me, encouraging you to contact me at jhenley@ala.org or through Rda Toolkit at ala.org with any questions, concerns, suggestions you might have. And of course, use that submit feedback button as well. So I'm going to open up to questions now. So Ramon.
So our first one, and I've answered several of them in the answer column. I hope that you all can see those. From Melissa Cookson, are there limits to the number of profiles that an institution can have, or is it tied to the number of simultaneous user seats we're allowed?
You can have as many profiles as you like. So you can create special, the idea with views is that you could have kind of profiles within profiles. So you could create different views within your profile that you could switch to when you kind of want a different setup of the toolkit. But every subscription, no matter if you have one user in your subscription license or 50, has unlimited number of profiles that they can create.
Our next question is from Fran Printer, and it is there more info online that explains the institution versus profile logins? It sounds like my consortium could have a single institutional login with individual profiles for those who want it. Raises the question.
Yeah, the institution profile login, I'll do a video about that to clarify that for everyone. But the institution login means you're just logged in to see the content. The profile login allows you to do personalization. So it's for the individual user. The institution login just means, yes, you belong to a subscribing institution. You don't have to log into a profile. But if you want to leave bookmarks and notes and stuff like that, you need to create a profile. So, and the profile login is just so you don't have to log in twice. You can use your profile to log in and be fully logged in. So I hope that makes sense. I'll do a video about that to hopefully clarify it for folks.
Our next question from Cindy is, I was unable to have both the original and new toolkit open at the same time this morning. It told me I had too many logins. I was logged in only as my institution, though. Does it make a difference if I'm logged into my own profile? Which segs sort of into the last two questions.
It should not make a difference. I would encourage you to send me an email about that, because that should not be happening. That was kind of a piece of the puzzle we didn't realize when we first rolled this out as the official site in December 15th, but we quickly fixed it. At least I thought we did, so that original site logins don't count against your concurrency. Now, that doesn't mean if you had a bunch of people on the beta, on the current site, that would count against your concurrency, and that might cause a problem. But email me about that and we'll see what happened.
So email to rdtoolkit@ala.org and we'll follow up. Our next question from Rebecca is Rda mark mapping section still available? If not, will it be added back in?
So that big map on the original toolkit, that was just a big flat XML page, flat table, and it was incredibly difficult to maintain and update. It was nightmarish. So we didn't want to duplicate that on the new toolkit. So we have the workaround where you go to the element and you can type in, you can go to the element and you can get them where that element maps to and mark. We have a change in the RDA registry. I'll post about this. There's already a post up about it, but I'll post about it again. You can go to the RDA registry and get the inverse where you can kind of search from mark to RDA. It's a little tricky, but that's something that's on our plate for future development. I want to come up with a mapping tool that easily allows us to create, to map things from RDA to mark or bibframe or anything else, and kind of do it in a much more dynamic and interactive way that's a little easier to use instead of just a massive table. So that's a development project that we couldn't do that for 3R because it was going to be too expensive, but that's something we're going to work on in the next year or two.
Next question asks anonymously is, does our original toolkit subscription automatically switch over to include the new toolkit version? And this is with specific reference to Cataloger's desktop, asking, do our links in Cataloger's desktop automatically switch over to the new toolkit?
So your subscription includes, any subscription to RDA Toolkit includes both the original RDA Toolkit and the new official RDA Toolkit. The accessing RDA Toolkit through Cataloger's desktop is always a little tricky. It involves them passing your login information to us, and then they display the toolkit within their frame. That process has changed a little bit, and Library of Congress folks, Cataloger's desktop folks, are working on improving that pass and adjusting it for these kind of dual sites that you have. So you may have some bumps for the next few weeks, but right now, if you have problems connecting that way, I would encourage you to contact the Cataloger's desktop people, because it's kind of an issue that they have to solve. There's not a lot I can do about it. But hopefully, my hope is that we'll get that kind of clean pass set up within the next few weeks.
And if you don't have the Cataloger's desktop email, we're happy to provide it for you. You'll just email RDA Toolkit with that request. Our next question, very short, from Lori is, where do we find workflows?
Well, the workflows in the original toolkit, here, I'll go back to the site. In the original toolkit, right, what we called workflows, which were really any kind of resource, could be something other than a workflow document. We're right here in the Tools tab under Workflows. In the new toolkit, they're right here in Documents. So you go right here to Documents, and you'll see your document collection, and you can go to Subscribe to see everything that's shared. So the documents that were on the original toolkit are not on the new toolkit. You need to convert those over if that's what you want to do. The reason they're not in the new toolkit is because their links, et cetera, won't apply and won't be effective in the new toolkit environment. So, it's a different toolkit in so many ways. So you really, those documents need to move over. You need to move those documents over if you want them in the new toolkit.
Benjamin asks, will toolkit links included in property data in the RDA registry be updated to include links to elements in the new toolkit at some point?
Could you read that again?
Sure. Will toolkit links included in property data in the RDA registry be updated to include links to elements in the new toolkit?
Yeah, I believe they are. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to check in on that. I'll go through the log and I'll get back to you on that.
We'll follow up on that in the blog.
Yeah.
From Clara, if one uses general institution account to log in, the welcome page is almost the same as the non-login first page, except the institution name above the entity tab. Clara is asking, and she had a follow-up question further down, how we can make it easier for users to decipher between the initial login page and the page that follows.
I don't have a easy answer for that. I'm open to suggestions. I mean, we try to show differences. I think,
She asked below, can institutions set up their own institutional front page? So that looks like the suggestion.
No, they don't. I don't know. I don't know how they set up their own front page. This is the login page. It's, we have a color change. It says profile login. Your institution appears at the top. People get confused about this. It's a little odd, but it's a requirement that we had, related to being able to create profiles and do personalizations on the site, but also have a login because this is a subscription site. So I'm not sure if I have an easy answer for that, except you can create a profile after that first login, and then you can have just one login that takes you right in.
We have an anonymous question about the overall landscape of RD education. Are there shorter training programs and webinars to help get familiar with LRM in lieu of the RD Lab series?
We've done some different things. I'm open to any suggestions folks have about what we can do to help orient folks to the new toolkit. The way the new toolkit is structured, it does require folks to make a lot of decisions, and it's not structured in a way that we're dictating to people how they must catalog. So it's a little tricky. We can't train you to catalog because we don't know. We're an international product and people want to catalog in a lot of different ways. So I'm open to any suggestions about different approaches. We're trying to put things up on the YouTube site, and we host webinars, etc. Put out books. We hope to orient folks to these new concepts. We're open to any ideas about the kind of products or presentations you guys would like to see. So I suggest you use that submit feedback button to kind of put your thoughts in there, the kind of orientation, informational products that you would like to see. We try and do them in a range of expenses. We try and do some free things, and we try and do, some things that are affordable but have a fee, and then some things are a little more are more expensive, are more extensive and expensive. We're trying to present a range to people. So any feedback or thoughts you have on that are very welcome, and we'll keep looking for new ideas about how to do that.
We have just a few minutes remaining, I believe, so we'll answer a few more questions, and then the others we will attempt to answer either by email or through the blog post that we promised. Kara Stevenson asked, I do mostly copy cataloging from Connection for a small community college library. How deep do I need to go to apply RDA to my cataloging records?
I'm not sure about how deep you mean. Connection is was set up and mapped. The connection entry forms were mapped to the original toolkit. They should still be doing it. It's based on MARC location. The new toolkit is not structured that way, and they're going to have to, connections going to have to look at new ways to kind of connect RDA content to be able to serve it up in connection to their users. And we're happy to have discussions with folks at OCLC about how we can support that.
We've got a question from Kate. I lost all of my notes and all of my bookmarks except one in the new toolkit. Is there a known glitch with this feature causing this?
Wow, that's disturbing. That actually did come up on one. I would again get Kate email me about that, and we'll try and get that fixed. It was there was a bug with that, and I think we might be able to I think we'll be able to recapture them. Just contact me.
I have a question from Joan about the language plans for the toolkit. Do I understand correctly the only languages available as of now for the new toolkit are English, Finnish, and Norwegian? If so, do you know when the French language version will be available?
Yeah, you know, there was a lot of changes with this toolkit and the RDA, and there's a lot of translation work involved to it. And each translation kind of moves at its own pace, depending upon the resources and time that the different translating teams have for it. So the French translating team, which is based in Quebec, has been very busy with some other things, but they're trying to get back to the toolkit. So I can't tell you when the French one will be available. We do hope to carry over the translations that are on the original toolkit to get them into this new toolkit. That's French, Italian, German, Finnish, Norwegian, Catalan, Spanish. I'm forgetting some, but I don't know what. And then we're also, well, Hungarian and Arabic translations are underway. So it's hard. I can't say when the other ones, you know, the Norwegians and the Finns were really keen to kind of get ahead of this and get moving on it. So that's why you see those now. I'm not sure. There are different politics and resources involved in each translation. And so I can't really make any prediction about when the others will follow.
Do we have any tips? There are a few questions about this. Any tips on migrating existing workflows into the new toolkit?
Tips. I do not have any tips about that. That's something I haven't really attempted on my own. So actually I'll attempt that, and I'll see how it goes, and then maybe I'll make a video for the YouTube channel about that. So I'm going to put that down on my to-do list, is to attempt to migrate a workflow. The only thing is I would say is the old documents were written to the original toolkit, and how it referenced RDA, and a lot of those things may have changed and may not be applicable anymore. So I think, you know, I will say the one thing is, if you want to migrate a document over, you need to evaluate how relevant it is in the new toolkit environment.
We have a question from Francine, and this may be our last one, and we'll answer
let's make it to the last
one. How does an administrator delete old profiles? I could find the way to create new ones and edit them, but no way to delete them, especially for personnel who have moved on.
Oh, there is a way. It's a little tricky, but if you go down to the bottom here, administration, and you log in with your admin login, you can go to manage users and profiles. And this requires you to use your admin login to get into, I'm not going to log in here because I'm going to log in as a super user, and people are going to see all kinds of stuff that they don't need to see. But I'll make a video about that. But you can go into here, and that's where you can, in the admin site, you can access your your users, your user profiles, and you can delete and add them there. So I'll make a video about that. That's I'm getting lots of good video assignments to do. Okay. All right, I think that's it. We're going to try and answer the rest of your questions via a blog post. And I hope you found this demo useful and worth the time that you spent. I appreciate you, everyone coming out. And again, feel free to contact me through my email address, jhenley@ala.org, or through Rda Toolkit at ala.org, or submit feedback. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.